Okay, we're going to read a tall tale, and it is called Thunder Rose. And what you're going to do as we read this is you're going to do something similar to what we did last week. We're going to take a look at this character of Thunder Rose, at the feelings that she has, the actions, things that she does, things that she may say, and possibly some thoughts that we are able to tell from the story that she has. Okay, so what you need to do is put Rose's name, Thunder Rose, in this little box. Thunder Rose is a tall tale. It's an amusing story told with great exaggeration. You probably already know that. A tall tale, think of it as a tale that just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and there's no way that any of that could really happen. Okay, so it's exaggeration. It has bigger than life characters. And so we're going to imagine, as I'm reading, we're all going to imagine what do we think is going to happen next. Because it's going to start out pretty big and exaggerated, and it's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, this tall tale. Okay, so you're thinking about what Thunder Rose will do next, and you're also trying to fill in feelings, actions, sayings, or thoughts that she has throughout the story, because we want to see how her character develops. All right, doing a great job. All right, Thunder Rose. This is by Jardine Nolan and illustrated by Kadir Nelson. Rose was the first child born free and easy to Jackson and Millicent Magruder. I recall most vividly the night she came into this world. Hailing rain, flashing lightning, and booming thunder pounded the door, inviting themselves in for the blessed event. Taking in her first breath of life, the infant did not cry out. Rather, she sat up and looked around. She took a hold of that lightning, rolled it into a ball, and set it above her shoulder while the thunder echoed over the other. They say this just accentuated the fact that the child had the power of thunder and lightning coursing through her veins. She's going to grow up to be good and strong, all right, Doc Holliday said. The child turned to the good doctor with a thoughtful glance and replied, I reckon I will want to do more than that, thank you very kindly. Shifting her gaze to the two loving lights shining on her, which were her ma and pa, she remarked, Much obliged to you both for this chance to make my way in the world. Then she announced to no one in particular, I'm right partial to the name Rose. So much in love with this gift of their lives, her ma and pa hovered over her in watchful splendor. Overcome with that love, they lifted their voices in song, an old song and a melody so sweet and true, a lullaby passed down from the ages, echoing since the beginning of time. There is a music ringing so sweetly in my ears, the newborn exclaimed. It's giving me a fortunate feeling rumbling deep in the pit of me. I'll register it here at the bull's eye set in the center of my heart and see what I can do with it one day. Rose snored up plenty that first night, breathing on her own, rattling the rafters on the roof right along with the booming thunder. There was nothing quiet about her slumber. She seemed determined to be just as forceful as that storm. With the thunder and lightning keeping watch over her the rest of the night, her ma and pa just took to calling her Thunder Rose. The next morning, when the sun was high yellow in that billowy blue sky, Rose woke up hungry as a bear in spring, but not the least bit ornery. Minding her manners, she politely thanked her ma for the milk, but it was not enough to quench her hungry thirst. Rose preferred instead to drink her milk straight from the cow. Her ma was right grateful to have such a resourceful child. No other newborn had the utter strength to lift a whole cow clear over her head and almost drink it dry. In a moment's time, Rose did, and quite daintily so. She was as pretty as a picture, had the sweetest disposition, but don't let yourself be misled. That child was full of lightning and thunder. Out on the paper bag brown, dusty, dry, wide open space, Rose often was found humming a sweet little tune as she did her chores. And true to her words, Rose did more than grow good and strong. The 2-year-old became quite curious about the pile of scrap iron lying next to the barn. Rose took a good-sized pipe, stretched it there, bent and twisted it there, and constructed a thunderbolt as black as pitch to punctuate her name. She called it coal. Wherever she went, coal was always by her side. Noticing how skilled Rose was with metal, her pa made sure there was an extra supply of it always around. At the age of 5, Rose did a commendable job of staking the fence without a bit of help. During her 8th and 9th years, Rose assembled some iron beams together with the wood blocks she used to play with and constructed a building tall enough to scrape the sky, always humming as she worked. By the time she turned 12, Rose had perfected her metal bending practices. She formed delicately shaped alphabet letters to help the young ones learn to read. For his birthday, Rose presented her pa with a branding iron, a circle with a big MAC for Magruder in the middle. Just in time, too, because a herd of quick-tempered longhorn steer was stampeding its way from the Rio Grande. They were plowing a path straight toward her front door. Rose performed an eye-catching wonder, the likes of which was something to see. Running lightning fast toward the herd, using Cole for support, Rose vaulted into the air and landed on the back of the biggest lead steer like he was a merry-go-round pony. Grabbing a horn in each hand, Rose twisted that varmint to a complete halt. It was just enough to restrain that top bull and the rest of the herd. But I believe what touched that critter's heart was when Rose began humming her little tune. That cantankerous ton of beef was restless no more. He became as playful as a kitten and even tried to purr. Rose named him Tater on account of that was his favorite vegetable. Hearing Rose's lullaby put that considerable creature to sleep was the sweetest thing I had witnessed in a long, long time. After the dust had settled, Ma and Pa counted 2,700 head of cattle, after they added in the 500 they already had. Using the scrap of iron, Rose had to add a new section to the bullpen to hold them all. "What did you do to the wire, Rose?" Ma asked, surprised and pleased at her daughter's latest creation. "Oh, that," she said. "While I was staking the fence, Pa asked me to keep little Barbara J company. That little twisty pattern seemed to make the baby laugh, so I like to think of it as Barbara's wire." "That was right clever of you to be so entertaining to the little one like that," her ma said. Rose just blushed. Over the years, that twisty wire caught on, and folks just called it barbed wire. Rose and her pa spent the whole next day sorting the animals that had not been branded. "One day soon, before the cold weather gets in," she told her pa, "I'll have to get this herd up to Chisholm Trail and to market in Abilene. I suspect Tater is the right kind of horse for the long drive northward." There's Tater. On Rose's first trip to Abilene, while right outside of Caldwell, the irascible, full of outrage and ire outlaw Jesse Baines and his gang of desperados tried to wrestle that herd away from Rose. Using the spare metal rod she always carried with her, Rose lassoed those hot-tempered hooligans up good and tight. She dropped them all off to jail, tied up in a nice, neat iron bow. It wasn't any trouble at all, she told Sheriff Weaver. Somebody had to put a stop to their thieving ways. But that wasn't the only thieving going on. The mighty sun was draining the moisture out of every living thing it touched. Even the rocks were crying out. Those clouds stood by and watched it all happen. They weren't even trying to be helpful. Why, the air had turned so dry and sour, time seemed to all but stand still, and there was not a drop of water in sight. Steer will not move without water, and that was making those bulls mad, real mad. And when a bull gets angry, it's like a disease that's catching, making the rest of the herd mad too. Tater was looking parched and mighty thirsty. "I've got to do something about this," Rose declared. Stretching out several iron rods lasso fashioned, then launching Cole high in the air, Rose hoped she could get the heavens to yield forth. She caught hold of a mass of clouds and squeezed them hard, real hard, all the while humming her song. Gentle rain began to fall, but anyone looking could see There was not enough moisture to refresh 2 ants, let alone a herd of wild cows.